the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome to Toronto. It is a hot, steamy Sunday evening here in Toronto. The roof is wide open, and I kept it closed most of the afternoon to try to keep it as cool as possible. Big crowd on hand for this Thursday night opener. This is the final four-game series of the first half. The Tigers are in town. Manager Brad Ausmus is in his third season with the Tigers. He was named manager of the Tigers in November of 2013. Take a look at the lineup for Detroit. They are 45-40. Having a good road trip. They are 5-2 on this 11-game road trip. Cameron Maybin hitting in the two-spot over his last 12 games, batting .386. And then Nick Castellanos. He has always hit hard against the Blue Jays. 19 for 52 with 8 extra base hits. Castellanos is really becoming a good hitter as he has learned how to hit the breaking ball.
And for Drew Hutchison, the 25-year-old right-hander, gets his second start for the Blue Jays this season. He's pitching in place of the injured Marco Estrada. It's his fourth career start against Detroit. Faced the Tigers twice last season, going 1-1. His only career start against the Tigers here at Rogers Center was last August. He allowed just 1 earned run over 7 innings, striking out 7 in a 15-1 Blue Jays victory.
Defensively, let's see the way the Blue Jays set up tonight. In the outfield, Michael Sanders, Kevin Pillar, and Ezekiel Carrera from left to right. On the infield, what a pair on the left side. Josh Donaldson and Troy Tulowitzki. Darwin Barney continues to play very well. He earned a start at second. Smokes at first. Russell Martin teams up with Drew Hutchison as Hutch makes his second start of the season.
And Darwin Barney gets another start. He was in there Monday night at third base so that Josh Donaldson could be the designated hitter. John Gibbons wants to keep him in the lineup while he's swinging the bat very well. He started games at second, short, and third for the Blue Jays this year.
Ian Kinsler hit his 200th career home run on Sunday. He is a terrific combination of power and speed. Leadoff man goes after the first pitch, and that's his MO. Kinsler's always very aggressive. He'll swing at that first pitch 9 times out of 10. Kinsler for the season, 16 homers, 51 driven in. He has 34 career leadoff home runs. He's hit 2 this season. Hutchison quickly ahead, 0-2.
Back-to-back pitches. Russell Martin setting up inside, trying to get Hutchison to bury that fastball in on the hands. But he is aggressive, swinging early in the count.
There's that pitch inside a little bit more effectively. It might have been a changeup at 84 miles an hour. It is 31 degrees at the start of play tonight, and it has been a hot, muggy couple of days here in Toronto. Kinsler couldn't lay off that high fastball. Joe West, the umpire down at first, confirming the swing.
Well, Hutchison's going to come at you with 3 pitches. The fastball averaging around 92, 93 miles per hour. You'll see the slider and changeup. One thing he does very well, he'll elevate. Saw the target that time by Russell Martin up in the zone. Hutch got it up there. He has to be good with his command. He, like any pitcher, you want to stay away from the middle of the plate, but not a ton of movement. So he has to stay away from the middle, keep it on the edges. Russell setting up inside again.
This is Cameron Maybin, the center fielder. Maybin has elevated his batting average to .352. Broken bat. 2 Hopper to Donaldson. 2 up, 2 down. Drew Hutchison is going to be a very important pitcher for the Blue Jays in the second half of the season. No matter how he fares here and how they plan on using him, you would expect, Joe, that he's going to be their 6th starter for the rest of the season.
Well, and he is right now with the injury to Marco Estrada. He has to fill in here. Estrada on the disabled list. He will be till after the All-Star break, and there's got to be a time with that Aaron Sanchez maybe going to the bullpen. That seems to be the talk, even though nobody wants to necessarily commit to anything just yet.
Big Miguel Cabrera goes after the first pitch, hits it into the seats. Cabrera batting under 300. We say that because that's very unusual. 298 for the season. He's not far under 300. 18 homers and 53 driven in. Bounced in the dirt. Ball on a strike. Drew Hutchison is in competition for the 5th spot in the rotation in the spring. He lost out to Aaron Sanchez, who won that battle. Hutchison on a career high 13 games last year for the Blue Jays. He went 13-5 in 28 starts. Cabrera drills this breaking ball to right. Nice read by Ezequiel Carrera. He turned, put his back to the infield. Hutchison retires to side in order on just 9 pitches. He strikes out Kinsler for the first out and gets a nice play in right by Ezequiel Carrera. 3 up, 3 down. This season, they are 5-2 on this current 11-game homestand. Blue Jays 48-39, second in the AL East, creeping up in that standings. Edwin Encarnacion, he right along with the Blue Jays has a 5-game hit streak, batting over 400 during that stretch, 4 extra base hits and 7 RBIs. Down in the 7th order, Justin Smoak got the nod at first base tonight because of his numbers against Justin Verlander, the Tigers starter. He is 5 for 15 with 3 home runs, and he's driven in 5, so he gets a chance to face a pitcher he's done well against.
A 33-year-old right-hander is making his 18th start of the season. He's made 10 starts in his career against the Blue Jays, 3-4 with an ERA almost at 5. Last time out was at Tampa. He earned the win going 7 innings, giving up just 1 earned run. He struck out 8 Rays.
Verlander misses with the first pitch to Carrera. Ezequiel Carrera batting .287 for the season. He's played in 60 games. Ground ball. Kinsler waits at second. Carrera's retired. Both of these clubs have committed 43 errors for the season. They've got a nice double play combination. Let's like to look at the way their outfield sets up. Upton, Maben, and Moya in right field. J.D. Martinez is on the DL, so Moya's in right. Castellanos and Iglesias on the left side. Kinsler and Cabrera on the right side. And James McCann, very fine catcher for Justin Verlander.
Nick Castellanos starting his 80th game at third base, enjoying a breakout year offensively at the plate in his 3rd full season, but continuing to work on that defense, trying to make that mental focus very important to get better at that hot corner.
Josh Donaldson, he is on some roll right now, folks, batting .301 for the season. Outside. There have only been 5 players in American League history that have scored 80 runs and hit 20 home runs prior to the All-Star break. And Josh Donaldson's only 3 runs shy of joining that group. Give you an idea what kind of group it is. Josh Donaldson has 77 runs scored and 22 home runs. The group includes Lou Gehrig, Ted Williams, Reggie Jackson, Frank Thomas, and Alex Rodriguez.
How's that for some company?
2-1 to Donaldson. Outside. Joe, not only has he had a hot stretch, but this hot stretch is coincidental with his patience at the plate.
He has really got a tremendous knowledge of the strike zone, great strike zone discipline. We've had him argue with umpires once in a while, disagree with calls, but he has got such a keen eye for the plate. And Justin Verlander is going to try to stay away.
He takes ball 4. Well, I tell you what, Jose Bautista is a big part of this offense, and they've not had him since that injury in Philadelphia. And these 3 have really done a great job picking up the slack for the loss of a 2-time home run champ.
Well, Ezekiel Carrera has filled in admirably in right field, but you're not going to fill Jose Bautista's shoes, so the big boys have to step up, and that they have done. Look at the numbers from these 3 elite sluggers in this Blue Jays lineup. They have done more than fill in and step up at a big time when they lost Bautista.
So Donaldson once again on base with a walk. There's a surprise throw to first as he was taking his gloves off. Verlander walks Donaldson. Now Encarnacion. 22 homers, 77 RBIs for Edwin. Verlander's hoping Donaldson will try to steal. Edwin, a terrific first half of the season. Verlander misses again away. Encarnacion 3 for 21 against Verlander. Justin's had the upper hand, but 2 of those 3 hits have been home runs. Look out, there goes that bat down the warning track, and somebody has a souvenir. There's not a better bat to get in the Blue Jays lineup right now than Edwin Encarnacion.
This bat just goes flying. Remember last year the issue that Edwin had with that finger on his bottom hand, and a lot of power hitters will hold the bat over the knob at the bottom of the bat, sometimes gripping it just a little too loosely. We've seen him do that many times before.
Edwin is 77 RBIs. That leads Major League Baseball. He's 8 ahead of Nolan Arenado of the Rockies. There's a good fastball from Verlander. Of course, we mentioned Verlander no hit the Blue Jays here in May of 2011. He faced the minimum, walked J.P. Arencibia in the 8th with 1 out. And he was erased on a double play.
Verlander seems very occupied with Josh Donaldson at first base. He has a very quick move, so Blue Jays runners need to be on their toes at first base, but I do not anticipate Josh moving anywhere with Edwin at the plate.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball. Castellanos has to wait on it and goes across the diamond to get Encarnacion. Josh Donaldson got a good break and made it chancy for Castellanos to go to second.
Good heads-up play. Good heads-up play by Castellanos, because Josh gets that good jump, and it's a big hop. If Castellanos goes to second there, it's going to be a rush, and it's going to be a very close play, a very dangerous play early in the ball game. He did the right thing by slowing things down and making sure that he gets it out here in the first inning.
So here is Michael Saunders, and of course we want to remind you to log on to MLB.com and vote for Michael Saunders. Get him to the All-Star game with the final vote. It ends tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so don't get shut out. And we want to inform you, people across Canada are doing a terrific job of voting for Michael Saunders. He currently leads the balloting, but you got to keep it up, keep the pressure on. First pitch, strike to Saunders. They are the T-shirts that encourage everyone to send Saunders to the All-Star game. Vote Captain Canada, hashtag Captain Canada. That comes into play tomorrow at 10 a.m. on everything you do on Twitter. Upstairs. Saunders done a nice job coming up with big hits. 16 hits have led to 24 RBIs for Michael. Base hit. Josh Donaldson's going to score. Michael Saunders continues to lead the Blue Jays early in ball games. Blue Jays once again score in the first inning. They are first in the American League, second in the majors in runs scored in the first inning.
Well, Michael Saunders is covering everything right now, from fastballs in to away, and this is a curveball from Justin Verlander. Left it right out over the plate. Michael sees it very well, reads the spin on the baseball, and drives it right back up the middle, scoring Josh Donaldson easily for the game's first run.
RBI number 41 for the potential all-star. He's doing his part, folks. You need to do your part.
He keeps swinging it.
This is Russell Martin. Russell's fortunes have turned around dramatically of late. And he's gotten some big hits. None bigger than the RBI double he hit off Kelvin Herrera in last night's game. Herrera threw a first pitch fastball away from Martin, and he slapped it right over the bag down the right field line for an RBI double. Second run of the 8th inning to give the Blue Jays that 4-2 cushion.
Isn't that the good time too to jump a guy right after that big hit by Saunders? Jump on the first pitch.
Russell hits it high and deep to left. It's over Upton's head, up against the wall. Saunders is being waved home. Iglesias will hold the throw, and Russell Martin backs up Saunders with another RBI. We told you he's heating up.
Well, this is what this Blue Jays offense has been doing. Russell Martin gets this fastball up in the zone. Verlander can be successful up there, but he better get a little bit more velocity on it. He better elevate it a little bit more than that. That's right in Russell's wheelhouse, and he is all over this mistake from Verlander.
So here's Troy Tulowitzki. Another part of that trio of big hitters that have stepped up dramatically with Bautista out of the lineup. Oh, he had a good cut. Little slider off the outside edge. Michael Saunders with the first RBI of the night. Russell Martin picked up the second. It's 2-0 Blue Jays. Tulo went 0 for 4 in last night's game, and in his last 15 games going back to June 19th, Tulowitzki's hit .339. Coming off the disabled list. Freed up his mind a little bit, and the bat's flying through the zone.
Now, Tulo said exactly that. He was not just rehabbing his injury. He was working on his swing, spent a lot of time, and sometimes you just need a little break away from the game.
Gets to that high fastball. Edwin Encarnacion will go to the All-Star game after he's had a great first half. Michael Saunders hopes to join him. 2-0 Blue Jays. Martin at second. 0-2 count to Tulowitzki.
That's a big difference right there in Troy. Earlier in the season, we saw him chasing pitches like that for strike threes. And when you begin hitting, you gain a little bit of confidence as a hitter. You start sitting back and relaxing a little bit more and letting the ball travel and seeing it better. Now you can lay off those balls instead of expanding your zone as he was doing early, as a lot of these Blue Jays hitters were doing early in the season.
Tulowitzki homered on Tuesday night, one of 3 home runs the Blue Jays hit in the 3rd inning. The home run came off of Chris Young, high fastball. James McCann's going to go out to the mound. Verlander has given up 2 runs here in the 1st. A couple of RBI hits. Saunders with an RBI single. Russell Martin an RBI double. Plays off that breaking ball.
James McCann is a young catcher, and Brad Ausmus is putting a lot of confidence in him, going over game plans, going over opposing hitters, and he is really learning on the fly here at the major league level. And Brad Ausmus was a great one himself behind the plate for a long time in the big leagues. He knows what it's like to execute a game plan, but when you have a veteran on the mound like that, Justin will have the final say here tonight.
Tulowitzki pops it down the right side. Moya with a long run makes the catch in fair territory. The inning is over, but the Blue Jays break out on top. Russell Martin had an RBI double, the first run of the night, driven in by Michael Saunders. And remember, folks, you got to vote Saunders to the All-Star game. That's 41 RBIs for Saunders, and the Blue Jays lead it 2-0.
Welcome back to Rogers Center. You know, as Blue Jays brass puts it, it's a different and improved Drew Hutchison compared to the 2015 season. It was John Gibbons who pointed out that last year it was Hutchison trying to overpower hitters. Now the manager says his command is much better, in particular on the fastball. The organization is pleased with that, in addition to his two-seamer and how his slider has been tightened up. Now, there's no official word on what happens with Hutchison's roster status after tonight. Does that mean that he's feeling pressure? Russ Martin was asked. Who cares about pressure, Martin replied. Get the job done and go out there and win.
Thank you, Rice. That's great advice. You know what? Blue Jays aren't the only team that's looking. They're pitching for 30 teams every night. Ground ball. Tulowitzki playing in the shift will retire Victor Martinez. 4 straight set down by Drew Hutchison. You know, John Gibbons, basically, yeah, he's thinking about the big picture, but right now he knows Hutchison's filling in for Estrada. Hutch does a good job. He might fill in for him again. Who knows?
Well, if you can give Marco more time off, why not? The last thing you want to do is rush Marco back from this injury after the All-Star break. He is eligible after the Oakland series, but it wouldn't hurt to go longer if he needs more time. It's a long season. John Gibbons knows better than anyone. They are going to need Marco all the way down the stretch and hopefully into October.
And they're going to need Drew Hutchison.
Need more than 5 starters, don't you?
Yes, you do. Hutchison gets ahead of Castellanos with a good breaking ball. 2-0 Blue Jays. Good pitch inside. He really tied up Castellanos. Nick's a big guy. He likes to extend his arms out over the plate, and Hutchison and Russell Martin, the catcher tonight, and looks as though they're trying to establish that Hutch can throw the fastball inside to these right-handed hitters.
We're seeing a lot of that already here. It's only the 2nd inning, but a lot of fastballs where Russell is settling underneath the hands of these right-handers. Russell told me today he does not want to get beat with Hutch's slider. And what he means by that is you don't want to fall behind in the count where the hitter is ahead. When the hitter gets ahead, now the fastball is not going to be as effective. Work ahead, throw strikes early, and then if I call that slider, he says, I want that thing buried in the dirt. We're going to try to get them to chase.
Another fastball upstairs, and Hutch misses down. 2-2 now to Castellanos. .94 miles an hour. A little bit of movement on that fastball, Joe, and that's something that Hutchison is trying to develop.
Trying to develop that 2-seam fastball, and with Drew, a lot of times what he'll do is he'll have trouble getting glove side, which is away to those righties. When he tries to go away and doesn't get it out there, it's going to stay on the plate. Now Drew works from the third base side of the rubber, plus he's got a bit of a crossfire delivery. That's a long ways, and it's a steep angle to go from all the way over there to get it away to those right-handers. Should make it easier to get in, as we're seeing here tonight, but you have to be careful what hitter is at the plate. Some guys will be leaving early. If you're facing a Jose Bautista, you're not going to pitch him in there.
2 balls and 2 strikes to the Tiger third baseman. There's a fastball, a little bit of a riser, gets the strikeout, second strikeout.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Beautiful evening here at Rogers Center. Drew Hutchison is retired the first 5 he has faced here tonight. Justin Upton goes after the first pitch. Upton batting .230 for the season. He came over in an effort to add to the offense of this ball club. When you look at their lineup, Joe, they've got some big time players in their lineup. You look at Kinsler, he's a 200 guy, and of course Miguel Cabrera, multiple MVP awards, batting titles, triple crown. He's done just about everything you can do as an offensive player. Victor Martinez. That ball is hit high and deep to center. Pilar's on the run at the wall. This ball is gone. Home run number 9 for Justin Upton to dead center.
Well, they paid this guy an awful lot of money, signed a big-time contract, over $132 million, to try to replace Yoenis Cespedes. You see where Russell Martin wants this pitch. He wants it elevated, but 0-2, you want to get that up even more. If you're going to miss with an 0-2 pitch like this, you want to miss up in the zone, up and out of the strike zone. You do not want to miss down. And Drew knew it right when he hit it.
This is Steven Moya. He is filling in right field for the injured J.D. Martinez. It's cued off the end of the bat. Moya is 24 years old. He's from Puerto Rico. 6'6". He's listed at 229 pounds. He signed as a non-drafted free agent by the Tigers in 2008. He's had a couple of different cups of coffee with Detroit. 2014, he got into 11 games. Last year got into 9 games, very limited at bats coming into this season, just 30 total at bats. Oh, 2 breaking ball, trying to drop it on the outside corner.
Good call by Russell Martin. He says that Hutchison feels better almost throwing that slider arm side. So to a left-handed batter, that's that back door, starting it off the plate away, and you hope to bring it back over the corner.
This ball is going to go into the seats. Justin Upton hit the home run, and on 0-2 pitch, Drew Hutchison has now given up 56 career home runs. That's the first one he's ever given up on an 0-2 pitch.
It's a pitch Drew would love to have back, and there's probably a reason for that. He knows, he's very conscious of that count. He knows he wanted that ball about a foot higher than he actually threw it.
Two and two, 2 outs.
In an 0-2 pitch, you're trying to get the hitter to expand his zone and chase something out of the zone. There's no reason to throw it across the plate.
That would handcuffed Russell a bit. That pitch way down and away. Full count now. Catcher James McCann is on deck. Now the breaking ball hit into the seats. James McCann waits on deck. Quite a battle that Moya is putting up here. Mentioned Moya is 24 years old. This is his 8th season in the Tigers system. There's a breaking ball that gets the strikeout. 3 strikeouts for Hutchison. Justin Upton hits a home run to center, but the Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead as they'll bat bottom of the 2nd.
It is a busy month of Blue Jays baseball inside the Rogers Center. The Tigers here for the homestand before the All-Star break. Then the Mariners, Padres, and Orioles will wrap up a homestand through the end of July. Visit BlueJays.com for tickets. Buck?
Thank you very much, Arash. Great to have you here tonight. And the Blue Jays will face Justin Verlander here in the bottom of the 2nd. It'll be the bottom 3rd of the Blue Jays order. Smoke Pillar and Darwin Barney. Justin Smoke has 3 career home runs against Justin Verlander. outside. But the Tigers really played dramatic shift on Smoke with Verlander on the hill. 3 defenders on the right side of second base. The lone defender on the left side is the shortstop, Jose Iglesias. He stays put, and now with 2 strikes, he backs up to the edge of the dirt. Ground ball foul. Justin Verlander has been one of the premier pitchers in baseball over his career. The Tigers drafted him out of Old Dominion in Virginia. Verlander is all over the leaderboard in franchise pitching categories. He's second in strikeouts to the great Mickey Lolich. Lolich has 2,679 strikeouts. Verlander coming into this game with 2,058 strikeouts. (2,059 strikeouts). First strikeout of the night. Justin Smoke goes down swinging.
Well, one of the premier pitchers in the game for an awful long time, and the one thing you can pretty well bank with Justin Verlander is that he's going to be out there for 200+ innings most years, 165 wins, over 2,200 innings, over 2,000 strikeouts. Just got another one right there. And what's amazing is over all of this time and over all of the pitches that he has thrown in his career, that he's still doing it. He's doing it in a little bit of a different way now. He used to average 95 miles per hour. We'd see him touch 99 and 100 at times. Now he's pitching 90 to 92, 93, and touching 95 at times, but utilizing those secondary pitches as well.
Kevin Pillar pops it up. You could hear Verlander hollering to his catcher McCann, saying up, 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 and McCann gets to the edge of the Blue Jays dugout and makes the catch. Tough time of the night for those balls in the air. It's still very bright outside. The lights haven't taken effect. You can lose that ball in the clouds and light sky.
And that's a big help for a catcher. When you see that, when that ball goes in the air, you don't always know exactly where it is. Your first instinct tells you, look right at the pitcher, and he'll point to, and we could hear Verlander from up here, and you see that sky. Could be a tough time of night. And then even in another hour or two, just before it gets dark, that's when that sky is most difficult.
Darwin Barney, the second baseman. He has played a lot recently. Barney has filled in at third base. He did that on Monday, taking over for Josh Donaldson, give him a day in the DH spot. Barney batting .292 for the season. They mentioned he had a big hit off of Luke Hochevar on that Monday game. A 2-run single. There's another hit for Barney. He keeps swinging the bat. He's going to play an awful lot.
Well, John Gibbons talked about that today when he met with the media. He said he wants to get him in there on occasion. You got to keep him in the lineup to keep him hot. He's swinging the bat so well. See, the catcher McCann wanted that ball out on the outer part of the plate, came back middle in, and Darwin puts another good swing on it.
So Barney, with a 2-out single, turns the lineup over back to Cabrera. Verlander has really shown early in this game he's going to try to work both lefties and righties away early on.
Been very good with his fastball, especially away to both hitters, and he'll put hitters away with that pitch. Stays very aggressive. And you know, when you've used your fastball so much and so successfully for so many years, it's hard to let go of that. It still can be a good weapon for Justin.
The Tigers are guarding against the bunt, even though there are 2 outs. Castellanos down at third base is in front of the bag. He's on the edge of the artificial turf. He'll creep in a step or two. Check swing, and he went too far. 1-2 now to Carrera.
Good changeup right there from Verlander. It's his 4th pitch, but he gets a lot of action, a lot of late movement. Good arm speed, looks just like a fastball coming in. A changeup oftentimes has that same rotation as a fastball, so as a hitter, you have to prepare for 93 to 95, then it just falls off the table as it enters the hitting zone.
Verlander's very quick to first, as you mentioned, Joe, and he's just taking a chance he'll catch somebody with their foot in the air and not able to get back to the bag.
Very quick feet, and what he'll do is he'll anticipate that runner just taking that extra step towards second base.
It's a high fly ball into right field. Moya expect Kinsler to have it, and Kinsler has to go a long way to get to it. But the second baseman stayed with it, makes the grab in foul territory. The Blue Jays leave a base runner. We've played 2. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead.
Season spectacle live from San Diego. The brightest and best will be there. The Home Run Derby and All-Star Game, July 11th and 12th on Sportsnet. Buck, hard to believe it's already the All-Star break.
But it sure is a rash, and obviously the Blue Jays have played more than half their games, but it is the proverbial halfway point with the All-Star break. You can see all those great red and white T-shirts. Those are the T-shirts to help send Michael Sanders to the All-Star game. You can vote at BlueJays.com/vote or text A4 to 101010 and vote for Michael Sanders in that final vote. The final man vote ends tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you vote before that deadline. This is the catcher, James McCann. Fouls it back. It's a ball on the strike. You mentioned the last time that Hutchison pitched against the Tigers was August 29th right here at Rogers Center last year. This has popped up down the right side. Long run for everybody, but Carrera's going to get there. The right fielder stayed with it, makes the catch in foul territory. But Hutchison, that last start he made against the Tigers, he won 15-1. That was the Edwin Encarnacion hat trick homer day. Edwin hit 3 home runs and drove in 9 runs to give Hutchison that comfortable outing.
Don't think I'd ever seen that before. Hats thrown on the baseball field.
Edwin hadn't seen it before. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop, was after the first pitch. Edwin wasn't really sure what it was, and Deanna Navarro was sitting next to him and says, "Hey man, that's what they do when a hockey player scores 3 goals in a game." It was very cool. Well, that's a good breaking ball right there.
That's where Hutch wants his slider, and Russell Martin talks about that slider. When he's got that late breaking movement, that's when he is on. But when he starts coming out of his delivery a little bit early, that it could be just a head tilt, could be that front shoulder, and then you start working around the side of the baseball. That's when it flattens out.
Another slider hit on the ground. Tulowitzki. Well, he's got a terrific internal clock. He knew that Iglesias was running, so he unloaded in a hurry. 2 down.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Rogers 4K TV. Get closer to the action with 4 times the resolution of HD alone.
Troy Tulowitzki has really played great defense lately. He's got 7 errors for the season, but 6 of those errors came in a stretch of 2 weeks.
I think Troy Tulowitzki just showed everyone that he is actually human on defense during that stretch. He has been so good when he came over in that trade last year and all the way through that postseason run. Tremendous defense at shortstop.
Hutchison used that breaking ball to try to catch the inside corner, that front door slider to Kinsler. As we mentioned, Kinsler is a great fastball hitter. Throw him another breaking ball. He reaches for it. Tulowitzki. Long throw. What a play. Not in time. How about the accuracy of that throw? Kinsler outran the throw. He wasn't going to be able to get much on the throw, but it was right on the money, just a bit late.
Look at the movement to the right by Troy. He covers an awful lot of ground. He's a big, tall guy, so he gains ground with each one of those steps, but then the accuracy is what is amazing, and he's done it his whole career. Ranging to his right here, he knows he's got to get rid of it in a hurry. Into the throwing hand, and boom, off-balance throw, but right on the money to Smoke, and it was just the speed of Kinsler that beat that out.
What a terrific play. It'll be an infield hit for Kinsler. The second hit for the Tigers. It's interesting on that replay when Tulowitzki threw the ball. Josh Donaldson was in a crouch getting out of the way, but he looked back over his shoulder because he wanted to see the results. Donaldson has learned a lot playing next to Tulowitzki. He has said time and time again how much he has learned defensively.
Josh is always looking to get better around that third base bag. There's Tulo making the backhand play, and we'll see Josh in the picture getting out of the way, but he's taking a peek because he says, if he's out at first base, I don't want to miss this. This is plays of the week right here.
That was terrific. 2 balls and no strikes now to Cameron Maybin. Maybin grounded out to Donaldson in the first. There's a strike. Now it's 2-1. Maybin is 29 years old, and he was originally a Tiger. Came up with Detroit in 2007 for the first time. He was originally a first-round pick of the Tigers. Then he was traded to Florida in that big trade in exchange for Miguel Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis, December 4th, 2007. Maybin and Andrew Miller, the 2 key components of that package that brought Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis to Detroit. Hutchison walks Maybin. That's his first walk issued in this game. So a 2-out infield single, and now a 2-out walk. Miguel Cabrera flied out to right field to end the first inning. Cabrera, for his career, a .281 hitter against the Blue Jays. 11 career home runs and 41 RBIs. Cabrera is just 2 RBIs shy of 1,500 for his career. It would make him the 55th major leaguer to drive in 1,500 runs. Joe, you've seen the Tigers a lot. Is that how you would pitch to Miguel Cabrera?
You know, he's so difficult to pitch to, especially when he was in his prime, because he covered that pitch. He would pull the hands in so quickly right there, and he could still leave to left field. But he probably has the best opposite field power that I have seen in many, many years. Not quite the same anymore, but still very dangerous hitter.
0-2 pitch. Breaking ball he wouldn't chase.
I think that's the biggest thing, is you just have to keep mixing it up. Tried to go with front door slider first pitch, ran that 2-seam fastball in on him. Now slider away, keep changing. May see him try to change the plane here and see if Russell wants to elevate a fastball.
Martin trying to figure out where to go to try to finish this inning. Breaking ball pulled foul. Joe, that was interesting. They called for that pitch inside. Russell was set up inside. It looked like they wanted the slider inside.
He is doing that. Russell told me today he will throw some front door sliders to the right-handed batters, and it's because it's a more comfortable side for Drew. Watch where Russell sets up. This is not traditional for a right-hand pitcher to throw a slider. Now the ball ended up out on the other half of the plate, but that's a mistake. He wants to start that pitch at the hitter, maybe freeze him up and have it come back over the inside corner. He might be elevating this time. Here it goes.
See, the interesting thing about these at-bats in my mind is Cabrera doesn't know where Martin's setting up. So he has thrown him a slider away and a fastball up, when in fact they're trying to throw him a slider inside and a fastball away.
Yeah, Russell Martin has a game plan back there, but when your pitcher does not hit his spots, the game plan's gone out the window. Russell's always thinking a pitch or two in advance.
That's a good pitch, down and in. 2-2. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead. Blue Jays scored 2 in the first. Michael Saunders and Russell Martin with RBIs. Justin Upton hit a 0-2 two-out home run to straightaway center to give the Tigers their run.
Makes it even more difficult with a runner on second base. Russell's giving a series of signs.
Line drive to Tulowitzki, and that'll do it. Cabrera gets tied up with that inside pitch. He lines out. Good job by Russell Martin. Tigers leave 2.
Canada, you see what it's like here at the Rogers Centre tonight. Michael Saunders wants your vote. He's the All-Star Game final man. To send Saunders to the Midsummer Classic, you can vote at bluejays.com/vote or text A4 101010. Send Saunders and hashtag vote Captain Canada. Buck?
Thank you, Rash, and make sure you get out the vote, folks. Call all your friends and make sure they vote as well. And we're big. Saunders there. Donaldson drills this to left. Over Upton's head off the wall. He's headed for second. And he'll get there breezing in with a stand-up double. For Donaldson, another double, number 20 now. As Josh has 20 doubles, 5 triples, and 22 home runs.
Well, Josh does not just have the physical tools to be a hitter. He goes up with a game plan. I think the game plan right here, he was looking for a first pitch fastball, thinking Verlander may try to get ahead of him. And he punished this baseball over the head of Justin Upton.
Josh Donaldson scored a run in the first inning. He's now scored 78 runs. We mentioned that very illustrious group of players that have scored 80 runs and hit 20 or more home runs prior to the All-Star break. It includes Lou Gehrig, Ted Williams, Reggie Jackson, Frank Thomas, and Alex Rodriguez. Only 5 players have accomplished that. Donaldson is 2 runs scored shy of joining that elite group. Edwin Encarnacion grounded out to third base his first time up. Fly ball to center. Donaldson's going back to tag. Maven sets up. Donaldson's going to challenge his arm. Here's the throw, not in time. Oh, what a good piece of base running. Folks, this man can do it all. You know, everybody talks about the Mike Trouts and Manny Machados and all the great players, Bryce Harper. You got to include Josh Donaldson in those conversations.
This is just tremendous baseball instincts. At first, Josh was not going to tag, but then he thought, okay, I think he's deep enough. I know his arm. I've got to get back to the bag. He tagged perfectly on time, and it took that head first slide to get in there just under the tag from Castellanos.
Well, the extra 90 feet has forced the Tigers to play the infield in. That's an advantage for Michael Saunders. So Donaldson's heads up base running puts pressure on the Tigers defense.
Look for them to work Saunders inside here. Saunders hit the curveball off Verlander in that last at bat for that RBI single. Now with the infield in, ideally a catcher call in the game, you're trying to tie this hitter up, not allowing him to extend those arms and barrel the baseball out to the outfield deep enough to get this runner home. Let's see if he continues to pound him inside with the fastball. Going away this time.
From an off-speed pitch, took something off that and got some sink down and away.
And that could be a setup now to go back inside. And this is the way you're thinking as a catcher. Off speed there to get him to chase. Maybe come back in a couple of times. And if you do get to 2 strikes, you could try to put him away again with one of those off-speed pitches. Going back to the changeup. Nope, Justin wanted it inside. There's the veteran again, overruling his catcher.
Yeah, he came inside with that heater. Now Verlander has the option of doubling up with the fastball inside or going back to the changeup away.
You can do anything you want. Watch McCann get inside here. Now this isn't what Justin's trying to do there. He's trying to go in there to get some broken bat contact or tie him up. But now he's fallen behind. But you're right, he can do whatever he wants, because even if he does lose Saunders here, the double play is in order with the righty Russell Martin on deck.
There's an interesting streak by both clubs. The Blue Jays have homered in 11 of their last 12 games. The Tigers starters have not allowed a home run in 8 straight starts. (3-1). 97 with a lot of movement.
That's not where he wanted that pitch. Again, McCann was set up inside, and It's amazing that Verlander, with his history and all the innings that he's pitched at 97 miles per hour, still getting movement, but he wants that ball to stay inside. He got away with it there. Now he can try to put him away if he wants.
McCann wants to change up. Verlander doesn't.
Still wants to go inside, and if he misses, so what? You walk him.
That's exactly what Verlander was thinking. Runners at the corners. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Well, the Tigers beat the Indians yesterday to snap their long losing streak. They had lost 11 straight. They finally beat Cleveland 12-2, and Cleveland's bounced back. Trevor Bauer's allowed just 1 hit over 4 innings. This is Russell Martin. He had an RBI double his first time up. He doubled to the wall in left center.
Justin Verlander has a game plan, and that was an unintentional intentional walk to Saunders. We're seeing oftentimes here James McCann going through several signs before Justin gets what he wants. This is a case of where the veteran pitcher is calling the game here. McCann's doing his best to execute the plan, but Justin's got the final say.
Hard breaking ball. Martin's behind 0-2.
That slider will get up to around 90 miles per hour. That's more of a cutter right there. That's not really a slider, but when you can manipulate the baseball and do what you want with it, Justin can also make that break down a little bit more, and it'll be around 87, but he just tried to get Martin to chase, and he did.
So protecting the plate, fouls off that tough pitch down and away. Josh Donaldson started the inning with a line double off the wall in left. He moved to third on the fly ball out off the bat of Encarnacion. So he's at third now. Saunders walked. He's across the diamond at first. In fact, he threw him a changeup at 88 and got the strikeout. Second strikeout of the ball game. 2 outs in the inning.
See the grip there by Verlander. It was indeed a changeup, and you don't see that too often, righty versus righty, but he got it out there, and it's a different look. Russell was chasing the off speed, those sliders away. This, with that fastball rotation, looks like the heater, and he's just caught way out front and off balance. That's what he's discussing with Brooke Jacoby right there.
Yeah, Jacoby just asked him if it was a changeup, and he said, yep, it was a changeup and a good one. 2 down now for Troy Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki flied out to right to end the first. Verlander is really confident with that changeup right now. It's interesting, and you made a point about righties not throwing changeups to right-handers.
Well, a lot of times you don't necessarily see it because you want the breaking ball going away from them. If you make a mistake with that changeup, it's diving down and in right into their barrel. So a hitter that can be fooled, you can still get it. But what Verlander did with that changeup, if you're going to throw it, keep it away. And that ball is on the outer part of the plate to Martin. I never liked that. I liked the changeup against righties, but as catchers coming up, that was like a golden rule.
Well, Marco Estrada couldn't pitch if he couldn't throw a changeup to righties.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't know why pitchers shy away from throwing arm side changeups to that side hitters when you have a righty hitter and you've got a great changeup. You're just eliminating one of your weapons.
The intent is to get them out front, and that's what a good changeup does.
2-1 to Tulowitzki.
Justin has not shown it at all, but a veteran pitcher that has this many differences with a young catcher, it can be frustrating because as a pitcher, you like to get in your groove out there. You want to get your sign, see the two, boom, throw the curveball. Get your sign, see the wiggle of the fingers, boom, throw your changeup. But he's sometimes going through 2 and 3 and 4 signs, just really breaks up your tempo and rhythm out there.
Came back with that hard cutter. Just enough movement to take it off the outside edge. So Verlander has a full count on Tulowitzki. Saunders at first base will be moving on the pitch. Donaldson will hold at third. Ball in the dirt, ball 4. That'll load the bases. So the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Justin Verlander's got him in a. He's got himself in a bind here in the bottom of the 3rd, and you can see his last 2 starts against the Blue Jays. Total of 12 innings. They get 15 hits and 12 earned runs. He had a bit of a problem with the home runs, and as we mentioned, the Tigers right now, the starters have gone through a stretch of 8 consecutive starts without giving up a home run.
Well, he's a power pitcher, and this is generally a fastball hitting lineup, so it's not a good mix. It's not the same Justin Verlander as back in 2010 and 11 and 12. The fastball now is topping out around 95.
Justin Smoke struck out to start the 2nd inning. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead. Donaldson, Saunders, and Tulowitzki. The bases are loaded. Well, you're right about McCann and Verlander having a tough time getting on the same page as far as the pitch selection. And it's really a problem when you have to go through a sequence of signs with the runner at second. Smoke had a good cut at that fastball.
That might be the best pitch he gets this at bat, and Justin knows that he missed it. He got that fastball down and out over the plate. And that, Justin, is saying he's not getting another one there.
Again, another problem between the young catcher and the pitcher. McCann flashed a sign, and Verlander accepted it very quickly, so quickly that he started his delivery.
See, I think what's happening with James McCann, this youngster, this game's moving really fast for him right now. He puts down a sequence of signs, but when he finishes, in his head he's saying, no, that's not what I wanted. So he calls time. While Verlander's looking at the runner on second, he's ready to deliver the pitch. But this is where the game is really sped up on James McCann, and he just needs to slow it down and really try to get in sync with Justin, which can happen throughout the course of a game, but it has not happened yet.
Verlander got the pitch he wanted. He throws a nasty curveball to end the inning. Smoke strikes out, and the Blue Jays leave the bases loaded. We go to the 4th. It's a 2-1 Blue Jays lead, and here comes the Ultimate Cleanup Crew. Brought to you by Home Hardware's exclusive line of the ultimate hard hitting and tough on grime cleaning products.
Hey, Jennifer Jones, 2014 Olympic gold medalist, joins us. You're a big Jays fan, and you got a chance to watch your ball club tonight.
A huge fan. Not a better birthday present in the world than this. Pretty excited to be here.
Jen, this was a real good season for you and your team. You obviously won the Champions Cup at the last Grand Slam of curling stop. What did you accomplish in 2015 and 2016 that you want to continue in the upcoming season?
It was great to end with winning a slam. It's been a while since we won one, and we secured our Olympic trials spot. So we just want to keep the momentum going, trying to see if we can get any better heading into the trials.
You mentioned the trials. You won the gold in Sochi in 2014. Will you be a fan and a spectator this summer for Rio?
Oh yeah, I'm an Olympic junkie, so I will be watching, cheering on Team Canada and watching every second I get. I'm due and expecting a new baby at the end of August, so we'll have lots of time to watch.
Congratulations, happy birthday, and best luck with the pregnancy.
Thanks very much.
Buck?
Thank you very much, Sharash. And Drew Hutchison misses with the first pitch to Victor Martinez, the Tiger DH. We mentioned the Tigers are loaded with star players. This is another one of them, hitting .317 over his last 11 games. Victor Martinez is behind 1-2. He went after that breaking ball. Another strikeout for Hutchison.
The checkered flag event is back, celebrating over 50 years of racing heritage in every Honda. Now is a great time to get into the all-new Civic.
Nick Castellanos, a strikeout victim his first time up. Hutchison now with 4 strikeouts in the ball game. Hutchison, among active starters, has the second best home winning percentage pitching here at Rogers Center. He has really pitched well for his career in this ballpark. Among starters with at least 30 starts, Jose Fernandez of the Marlins is 24-1 at home. Then Drew Hutchison is tied with Tommy Hunter, 21-7 for Hutchison, 30-10 for Hunter, both a .730 win percentage. This ball is hit a mile. Nick Castellanos has hit it off the facing of the WestJet flight deck, and the Tigers have tied it up. Castellanos, his 17th home run of the season, 2 solo home runs for Detroit, and just like that, it's a 2-2 game.
Well, that's what we talk about with Drew Hutchison, with that inconsistency with the fastball location. It's important for any pitcher, but Drew is fairly straight with his fastball. Look where the target is from Russell, and he's bringing that glove way up, and it's a middle in, right out over the plate. Russell wants this ball away. It's nowhere near being away.
Here is Justin Upton. He homered his first time up. He too went to straightaway center. Breaking ball lined over Saunders' glove, and it goes all the way to the wall. Upton is headed for second. So Upton has a home run and a double so far in 2 at-bats. Double number 18 for the Tiger left fielder.
Well, that ball was scorched off the bat of Justin Upton. Looked like Michael's route to the baseball was a little bit straight across. Maybe didn't think it was hit quite as hard. If he takes that route backwards, he may have a shot, but either way, that ball is hit very, very hard by Upton.
Steven Moya had a long at bat his first time up. He eventually struck out on the slider down and in. He gets the slider in here. Upton stays put at second. Moya is thrown out by Tulowitzki. Catcher James McCann will step in the box with 2 outs. McCann just turned 26 years old. That's Wally Joyner, the hitting coach for the Tigers, talking with Castellanos. Joyner was a terrific hitter in his playing days.
Castellanos enjoying a breakout year, showing a lot of power. Really handling the whole strike zone now, not chasing as much. He's been a little bit more disciplined at the plate, and I think that just comes with experience. Talked to many big leaguers that once you get that first year under your belt and then that second full year, this is Nick's 3rd full season, you start to know the American League a little bit more. You start to see pitchers, especially in your division, a little bit more.
This little looper down the right side. It's trouble if fair. It's a fair ball. Upton comes in. Here's the throw to second in plenty of time. And McCann is thrown out to end the inning. But the Tigers take the lead. Justin Upton scores on the 2-out single. Carrera throws out McCann. Castellanos homered to tie it. And McCann, rounding first, puts his head down, but Carrera guns him down at second to end the inning. The Tigers score 2 and have taken a 3-2 lead.
Rogers 4K broadcast is powered by the Samsung 4K SUHD TV.
Nick Castellanos went deep to straightaway center, his 17th home run. That tied it at 2-2, and then the catcher James McCann hit a looping single down the right field line, drove home Upton, but McCann was thrown out on a strong throw from Carrera to end the inning. So the Tigers have a 3-2 lead. Number 8 hitter Kevin Pillar will lead things off. Verlander and McCann still can't get on the same page with the pitch selection. Ground ball. Iglesias, a slick fielding shortstop, makes an easy play of it. 1 down. Did you ever catch a pitcher that would wipe to the signs, add and subtract?
Yeah, I had guys like that. I didn't like it myself. I would just assume they go ahead and shake off, and hopefully it doesn't get as bad as what they're doing here tonight. But yeah, I had a lot of pitchers that like to do that. They felt that it was just a quicker way of saying, okay, if I put a 1 down and I wipe twice, that goes 2, 3. So it's changeup or slider. You have your own system depending on the pitches they throw. But did you ever use it in a game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who in a second. 1 out. Darwin Barney. Doyle Alexander, who had a great career with the Blue Jays and with the Tigers. He wanted to work quickly, so instead of waiting for you to go to another sign, he would add on the top, subtract on the bottom, and go very quickly. And you better be paying attention.
That was my next question. Did he ever cross you up?
Nope. But he would add with his wipes on the top. So if you gave him one sign, he would add 2. That would go to the third sign. Bouncing ball, chopped to third. Castellanos bare hands and throws Barney out. 2 ground ball outs here in the fourth.
Well, we see so many opposing infielders have to get used to this artificial turf. Watch this last spin on the baseball. Castellanos is surrounding it. He was planning on gloving the baseball, but it looked like it may have taken a little bit of a turn on him, and he just grabbed it with his bare hand. Josh Donaldson has always said with this turf, what he does is he tries to center the baseball on that play right there in your chest. Sometimes it goes to my left, I got to glove it. Sometimes it goes to my right, and I barehand it. I think that's what Castellanos did there. He just reacted.
Yeah, the ball had a little spin and took it to his bare hand. 2 outs for the leadoff man, Ezekiel Carrera. Carrera 0 for 2 to this point.
One thing Castellanos has done in all of the work he's doing defensively to try to become a better third baseman is he's really tried to slow the game down, and that's been the big thing. And now in his 3rd full season, you can slowly do that. More experience gives you a little bit more confidence, and you can bring things down a notch to make plays just like that one right there.
Well, and the Tigers kind of created some of this themselves. Castellanos was a third baseman. At the time he came to the big leagues, they had Miguel Cabrera playing third, Prince Fielder playing first, so they put Castellanos in the outfield, so he lost some time in the adjustment to Major League third base.
And you get back to the big leagues now, or you get to the big leagues, and you've got to relearn the position. Not easy to do on the fly at this level. Game's moving very fast.
Herrera bunted through that pitch. It's 2-2. Of course, when you're batting leadoff and you got Josh Donaldson behind you, anytime you can get on base, it's a bonus. You want to set the table for Donaldson, and then after him, Encarnacion. Full count. Tigers have a 3-2 lead. A one hopper right to Kinsler, and that'll do it. 3 ground ball outs for Verlander. In the 4th, we'll go to the 5th. Detroit has a 3-2 lead. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
Enjoying those big comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests of TD who have received an in-stadium seat upgrade. While over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, we welcome fans from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters from Niagara Falls. And earlier today out at Centennial Park, well, wouldn't you know it, there were a whole bunch of baseball players taking part in a whole bunch of activities. Who's the man in the back? I think I recognize him, Buck.
Yeah, Roush, that was this afternoon earlier. It was the opening day for the 28th annual Rookie League season. There were 1,200 campers at Centennial Park, and the Jays Care Foundation, in partnership with Toronto Community Housing Corporation, launched the 28th season of the Rookie League program. There were 1,200 kids there. A terrific day. And congratulations to both of those organizations for coordinating such a great event. It was opening day, and they had skills, they had drills, they had lunch, and they played games. It was terrific. I was happy to be part of it. Shortstop Jose Iglesias with a 2-1 count takes a strike. Russell Martin wanted that. You could see the way his body was ready to acknowledge strike 3. That looked like it may have caught the corner down and in.
Russ is such a good receiver, especially on that ball down in the zone. He works underneath the baseball. Really presents it well to the umpire.
Breaking ball, and Iglesias rips it to left field. A leadoff single here in the 5th.
The all-new Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Big shot of the skyline of downtown Toronto. We move to the top of the order. Ian Kinsler is 1 for 2, and an infield hit in the 3rd. Iglesias runs a bit. He has 5 steals in 6 attempts. They got speed at the top and the bottom of the order. Kinsler takes a first pitch fastball. Looked like he was taking all the way. Mentioned how aggressive he is, but felt like maybe Hutchison would throw him a breaking ball on that first pitch.
Veteran hitters, they'll change up that game plan just to keep the pitcher guessing too. A bit of a chess match.
That is Bo Schultz, who has just been recalled from AAA Buffalo. He came up yesterday, the 2nd stint with the Blue Jays. He's loosening up down in the Jays pen. Ball hit him. Inside pitch, it clipped Kinsler, and he goes to first. So first 2 reach here in the 5th.
Like Drew is trying to come inside. Russell set up in there, and then Kinsler just trying to get out of the way, and it caught that back elbow, just barely getting him.
Cameron Maben, the center fielder. 0 for 1 with that walk. Tough part of the order for Hutchison, Maben, and then Cabrera, Martinez, and Castellanos to follow. Donaldson from his knee, double clutched, and that's going to cost him a double play. Donaldson's upset with himself. He wasn't quite balanced enough, and you can see coming Barney, it was his fault. He got the ball in plenty of time. It was a rocket hit to his glove side.
Ball was hit extremely hard, and Josh did a good job just to get to it quickly. He wanted to just quickly flip this over to second on one knee, but he just didn't quite get the grip. By that time, it's a little bit late for Darwin to try to turn two. He's frustrated with himself. He is just such a fierce competitor, whether he's in the batter's box or down at third base. Watch this ball coming in hot right off the bat of Maben. He fielded it cleanly, but when he went to grip it, it's almost as though he just lost that grip and that foothold with his right foot. By that time, you're not going to turn two with the speedy Maben.
And now you have to deal with Miguel Cabrera. Also, the double clutch and the pump to second threw the timing off for Darwin Barney, the second baseman, and he tried to rush his throw, got a little bit extra on it, threw it in the dirt, but Maben was going to beat it once Donaldson had that double clutch. Boy, Cabrera, when he gets in an RBI situation, he is inside out all the way.
And those are the toughest hitters to face, because you know, catching, if you've got a guy that really keeps his hands inside the ball, if you try to bury him in, it's like Derek Jeter. He used to keep his hands inside so well, they almost like the ball middle in. But then you try to go away and they're just staying on the ball so well. He just does everything so well. He covers the whole plate, but also he does it with enormous power.
Pulls this one just foul, and Iglesias was barely able to get out of the way of it. Well, Cabrera is in his 14th season. He came up as a 20-year-old with the Florida Marlins in 2003. And in 87 games, he had 12 home runs and drove in 62. So it was a pretty good indicator that he was for real in his first year. Oh, 2. Got it. He strikes out Cabrera. And that's the second out of the inning.
That is a big pitch by Hutchison. You see Russell, he wants that ball down in the ground, and if you throw it in the dirt there and he does not chase it, that's okay, I'll block it. But he got him to chase. Don't see that a whole lot from Cabrera, but excellent job by Russell.
And there's that changeup again to a right-handed hitter, and it once again proves how effective it can be. Good job by Martin. 2 down now, not out of the woods yet. Victor Martinez.
Have to have a lot of trust in your catcher to go ahead and do that with runners on, especially on third base. Hutch has all the confidence in the world, and Russell Martin behind the plate. In fact, Russell's asking for it down there.
Just missed with that first pitch. Coming into this game, Victor Martinez has the 12th highest active batting average. Coming into this game, batting .302. Miguel Cabrera has the highest batting average among active players at .320 to start of this game. So you got 2 of the best hitters in the business back to back in this Tiger lineup. Fly ball to center. Pilar's got some room. He is there, and the inning is over. What a job by Hutchison. He strands a pair and keeps it a 1-run game. So the Blue Jays will have the big guns coming to the plate. Josh Donaldson is 1 for 1 with a walk. Then Edwin Encarnacion and Michael Sanders. He's already picked up an RBI tonight.
To get that man, Michael Saunders, into the All-Star game. To those in Central Canada who may just be tuning in, tell you what, the guy needs your votes. You can send Saunders in by hashtagging VoteCaptainCanada or voting at bluejays.com/vote or text A4 101010. Buck?
Thank you very much. You can see a lot of fans have the t-shirts that have Captain Canada on the front. Send Saunders to the All-Star game. Vote Captain Canada. Hashtag Captain Canada. The changeup has been a very prominent pitch for both of these starters tonight, Joe.
Yeah, it was a big pitch that Drew Hutchison made to Miguel Cabrera to strike him out for the second out of that 5th inning in the meat of that Tigers order, then getting Martinez. But we've seen some very effective changeups righty-ready from Verlander as well.
He just won't give in to Donaldson. He has really mixed it up effectively. Josh hit a bullet to the wall in left in his last at bat. He has walked and doubled in 2 trips to the plate. Ground ball. They're playing him in the shift. Kinsler bobbles it, and Joe West calls Donaldson safe. Kinsler bobbled it and then kind of nonchalanted the throw. It pulled Cabrera off the bag, and Donaldson slid in safely at first. A very sloppy play on a couple of different levels. The fact that he bobbles it and then he just really kind of flipped it over to first.
Kinsler had the shift was on. He was on the shortstop side of the bag, and you're right. The one time he did bobble it, it was just a nonchalant kind of throw, and he can make that throw underhand from across the infield, but he almost airmailed it.
So Donaldson on for the 3rd time. It's an error on the second baseman. Well, I tell you what, you put Donaldson on ahead of this guy, you're asking for trouble, especially when you do it with an error, a routine ground ball. Verlander has done this all night long, and Blue Jays, they're not a base stealing ball club.
It's interesting that he's paying so much attention to all of these base runners, because as you said, not a real base stealing ball club, but especially with this man at the plate, Josh isn't going anywhere.
Donaldson and Encarnacion have just really had a great stretch of games going back, oh, say last 25 games. Encarnacion scored a run in last night's game, so he had scored now 30 runs in his previous 25 games to match Josh Donaldson in that category. 30 runs in the previous 25 games. They've each scored 30 runs over the stretch of those 25 games. It's the only time in Blue Jays history that they've had 2 players score at least 30 runs over a span of 25 games.
It's a red-hot Blue Jays lineup.
Well, there's a lot of indecision in Verlander's mind now. He and the young catcher haven't really been on the same page. Changeup for a called strike.
And he'll start it on that outside corner. It comes back just a bit, but he's making sure that it does not come back to the inner part of the plate, so it's very well located by Verlander, staying out there. The fear for righties throwing the changeup to righties a lot of times is that you throw it middle and it comes to the inner part of the plate, right into their barrel.
But I think if you have enough velocity taken off the pitch, you'll have the guy out in front.
That's the intent, is to catch him out front, either swinging and missing, or he rolls something over, you get weak contact to the left side, or in this case possibly a ground ball.
Off the plate. Full count. Donaldson at first. Saunders on deck. You start Donaldson on this full count pitch?
I don't. I think it's pretty dangerous with Edwin at the plate. Potential strikeout candidate. I wouldn't want to strike him out and throw him out. James McCann throws extremely well behind the plate.
Not running. It's fouled back.
Justin does a nice job holding runners, and he's rather quick to the plate, but James McCann has got a tremendous arm behind the plate. If it's strike 3, it's probably going to be a strike him out, throw him out. He's throwing out almost 60% of opposing base stealers this year.
He's caught 15 of 26. 58% for the season. 3-2 pitch again. 5-4. So Verlander issues his 4th walk. It comes with nobody out. Michael Saunders has one of those 4 walks. He walked in the 3rd. Saunders drove in the first run of the ball game with a line single into center. It drove home Josh Donaldson. They're blocked by McCann.
This time Verlander cannot pitch around Saunders like he did back in the 3rd inning. There's nowhere really to put him now. He does not want to load the bases, but it'll still be interesting to see what his plan of attack is. That was the first pitch, changeup.
And back with it again. Back-to-back changeups from Verlander.
Good time to try to run that fastball inside now. But at the same time, looking for a ground ball. The best way to get a ground ball is the 2-seam fastball down and away, or that changeup right there, trying to get the hitter to pound the top of the baseball into the ground.
Justin Verlander trying to protect the 1-run lead. Tigers lead at 3-2.
Another one.
You've always got that 97-mile-an-hour fastball in the back of your mind, thinking, I got to get the head out for that. And then he throws you the changeup, and he's really thrown it well tonight.
You have to, unless Saunders comes up in this at-bat and saying, I'm just going to sit on the changeup the whole at-bat because I know I'm getting a couple of them. That's sometimes what big league hitters will do. But that's a pretty courageous move when you're trying to cash in here in a big situation.
He threw him another one, and he gets the strikeout. So after the walk, the 4th walk of the ball game, Verlander strikes out Saunders. That's his 4th strikeout.
He gets great downward movement. Look at the grip on that changeup going down, but just falling off the table. And you said it, you still have to, as a hitter, you've got that 95 in your head, so you have to gear up for it. Now, as a hitter, you're looking fastball and adjust off speed, but it's very difficult to adjust off speed when you make such a quality pitch with that late break and downward movement.
Russell Martin had an RBI double in the 1st. It's a high strike. Martin said, man, he doesn't need any help, especially a breaking ball. You look down and away for a breaking ball, and then he throws one up. Looked like it might have been borderline high.
I don't know necessarily that umpires think like that, but I would suggest that to them as a catcher. That's a slider. It's a breaking ball. It's supposed to be down. He missed way up in the zone. There's no way you get a borderline pitch that way. It's a big pitch for Russell. Now you're down 0-1 instead of being up 1-0.
Martin's got plenty of big hits lately. Verlander struck out Russell with a changeup in the 3rd. Verlander is so aware on the mound. He threw a breaking ball off the plate, came right back with another breaking ball, and made the adjustment to get the called strike.
And do you remember that curveball of Justin Verlander's when he was throwing 99? I mean, what a combination, just dominating. So he doesn't have that same stuff, but boy, he sure can compete still by pitching using all of these 4 weapons.
Russell gets a piece of it. That was a cutter that Verlander throws.
We're really seeing him pitch tonight, because back in his prime, right now in this count, he could just rear back and go 99 and you've got no chance. He does not have that as a weapon anymore, so he has to be much more creative, but still certainly a fine pitcher.
Verlander is a 6-time All-Star. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2006. He was the Cy Young Award winner and the MVP in 2011. I mean, he is a very highly decorated starting pitcher. Tonight he makes his 336th career start.
He's been a workhorse. He has guaranteed you 200+ innings.
Another changeup. Martin foul tips it. McCann holds on for the strikeout. So after an error and a walk, Verlander strikes out Saunders, and now Martin.
There it is again. See the grip on that circle type change, but look at the late movement. And again, as a hitter, it's almost as though you're daring him that he's not going to throw it again, but he does. Who would have ever thought 5-6 years ago that we'd be watching Justin Verlander dominating with a changeup?
It's all about adjustments. Troy Tulowitzki with 2 outs. Another high breaking ball, and you can see Tulowitzki upset with Andy Fletcher's call. You're grinding to guard against that changeup and breaking ball down and away, and then he throws a high strike and gets the call.
You give up on it right away, because out of Justin's hand, that ball's way above the zone. It just comes back enough to catch the top.
Verlander calls his catcher out after the high fastball for strike 2.
And this is all about, okay, kid, this is what we're doing right here. He's telling him right now what he's going to do with the 0-2 pitch, and then he'll present the scenarios. If it's a ball, this is what I'm coming back with. If he fouls it off, this is what we're going to do. Trying to lay out the rest of the at-bat right here.
High fastball. Cabrera waves off Verlander, steps on the bag, and the Blue Jays strand a pair. And their half of the 5th will go to the 6th. 3-2 Tigers.
staycation again with the #1 rated travel rewards card in all of Canada. The WestJet RBC World Elite MasterCard. Visit rbc.com/WestJet to apply today. Guys, an update on Jose Bautista, now out of his walking boot. He actually played catch today at the Blue Jays facility in Dunedin. He continues to rehab there. The Blue Jays' hope is that he returns to the team by the end of July.
Yeah, and it's going to be close. Obviously, he's been out of action for quite a while, and it's good news. He has been working out with his upper body all throughout the course of this rehab period. That's foul. So now he's playing catch, and Joe, in talking with George Poulos says that Jose is a good healer and that he's ahead of schedule, but he still has to get back into baseball shape once again, and he hasn't done any running yet.
Well, that's the thing, when you're immobilized for so long, to protect that toe and let it heal, then the walking boot comes off, and now it's all about strengthening that whole area and getting back to the physical activity, and then of course the baseball activity.
I spoke to Kirk Gibson, who is doing the TV show for the Tigers, and he said, "Hey, Bautista's got turf toe, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, that hurts." He said, "I had it playing football at Michigan State." And he said, "You don't even want anything to touch your toe." He said, "It's very painful." And Gibson said, "The interesting thing about me playing college football at the time, I could take shots and get it calmed down once a week." He said, "You can't do that playing baseball."
Not here. Well, Gibby, of course, got some crazy stories of his college football days.
Hutchison uses a changeup. That's been the theme of this game tonight. Changeups have been very effective for both starters.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Lights are starting to take effect as the sun has gone down in the west. It's cooling off a bit here at Rogers Center. They need to cool off this man right here, Justin Upton. He has homered and doubled, scored a pair of runs, has an RBI.
It's almost as though Hutchison is getting more comfortable with the changeup than he is with his slider. Get that feel and that release point with a certain pitch. More likely to repeat that delivery.
Line drive into center. That's sinking quickly, and Pilar makes the catch. That ball really died on Kevin. He thought it was going to hold up and hang up for him. But right at the end, he had to dive for it to make the catch before that ball hit the turf.
Well, Kevin is as good as they come out there in center field. Let's watch that ball off the bat. Watch the jump by Pilar. Gets a good jump going to the baseball. Sometimes what will happen is the ball will knuckle off the bat, and that may be what happened to Kevin. He just had to adjust his route, but he did a nice job doing that, adapting to that ball. It almost dropped in front of him.
I think the theme of that sign was that my parents told me Superman wasn't real until I saw Kevin Pilar. Two out, Stephen Moya. Big right fielder 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Jesse Chavez is standing ready down in the Blue Jays bullpen. Bo Schultz was up early. Now they have passed him, and Jesse Chavez is the next in line, but he seems as though he's ready, just standing by. Pete Walker and John Gibbons having a discussion about their next move if they need to make one. Good job by Hutchison, a couple of strikeouts as he sets down the Tigers in order in the 6th. Blue Jays have scored 2 runs on 4 hits. They trail 3-2.
You can get free VIP Blue Jays experiences like alumni meet and greets, seat upgrades, offers, and more with Game Plus, part of the MLB.com Ballpark app. You can learn more at bluejays.com/Game Plus.
Well, a lot of fans are buying into this ball club, and they have really turned out here at Rogers Center. They had another crowd over 38,000 last night. This year, after 43 games, the Blue Jays have had crowds of 38,000 or larger 24 times. So the fans have responded very well to this ball club. They are turning out at the ballpark. It's another great crowd. Looks like it's over 38,000 again tonight. Justin Smoak goes after the first pitch and hits it to Moya in right. So Smoak is 0 for 3. Now Kevin Pillar will step in with one down. That's going to get down for a hit as Maybin gets over to cut it off. Pillar with a big aggressive turn, and he'll check back in with a one-out single. That's just the 5th Blue Jay hit of the game.
Well, Kevin does a nice job. This is the changeup again, but he's able to stay back and let that ball travel just a little bit deeper. As a hitter, ideally you want to get that bat on plane, the back of your swing, and stay on plane as long as you can, so that if you are out front, you can still throw a base hit out there. That's exactly what Pillar did right there by keeping the bat in the hitting zone a long time.
That is Brett Cecil, of course, loosening up. Bottom of the 6th. Barney takes one outside. Darwin Barney had a base hit to left field his first time up. He grounded out in the 4th. Verlander has been consistent with the way he's paid attention to Blue Jays base runners. The Tigers have turned 90 double plays this year. Only the Texas Rangers have turned more double plays. Oh, he almost bounced that one away. Rivera made a nice scoop on the low throw. Aren't you curious to why he's paying so much attention to the Blue Jays at first?
Yeah, I'm very curious because, again, you've got a great arm behind the plate. All you have to do is get the ball to the plate in efficient time. As long as you're around 1-2, 1-2-5, stay under 1-3, I think James McCann will take care of the rest.
Barney takes a high strike. 100 pitches now for Justin Verlander.
That's that little slider slash cutter right there. It's the same pitch he got Justin Smoak on to start this inning. And the idea against somebody like Smoak is you just run it in on their hands just enough, and he jammed Smoak just a bit to retire him to lead off this inning.
Barney drives it to the alley, and that's going to go all the way to the wall. Pillar read it perfectly, and it bounces out of play, and that's going to cost the Blue Jays a run for the time being. Boy, Kevin Pillar saw immediately that neither the center fielder or right fielder were going to get to that ball, and he broke on contact.
Well, the right fielder, Steven Moya, decided right away he's got no chance, and Maybin had a long ways to come. Watch Maybin in center, watch Moya in right. There's just no way, so Kevin's gone. He's scoring easily, but that ball just bounced over the fence. There's Kevin with his secondary lead. He's reading, and then I'm gone. No chance, but that's a tough break for the Blue Jays, and now Justin Verlander's going to bear down and try to take advantage of that break that he just got.
Well, he did get a break. Darwin Barney, 2 hits tonight against Verlander. The double is 6th of the season. Pilar ends up at 3rd. So James McCann and Verlander have a conference, and Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, is going to come out and have a chat with Verlander and the catcher.
Darvin is just such a good veteran hitter, and he's faced Verlander before.
Double barrel action for Detroit. The right-hander is Shane Green. The lefty is Kyle Ryan. Joe West upset by something, and there is a time frame on the meeting on the mound, and the first base umpire, Joe West, is the crew chief of this umpiring crew.
Brad Osmus is saying, you're not telling me he told you you're out there for 30 seconds, did you?
You're overtime on your meeting. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Ezekiel Carrero. Blue Jays trail by 1. Big bats behind Carrera. Bunts it up the pitcher's line, and Verlander's going to come home and makes a terrific play. Going against his body, turns and fires a strike quickly to McCann, who tagged out Pilar, sliding headfirst into home. What a play by Verlander.
What a play by Justin Verlander. I like the play by Ezekiel Carrera. Normally, if you get a bunt down in this situation, all you've got to do is get it down that first base line just enough, make the pitcher field it way over there. Kevin Pillar's got a great jump, but watch Verlander. He has to turn back to his right, come back around. McCann with the sweep tag. It's just a matter of now, did Kevin get his hand back in there? This could be very, very interesting.
Boy, what a terrific play by a pitcher. Watch how he turns and throws against his body. He's going away from home and gets a lot on the throw. Pilar extends that right hand. Looked like he touched home plate before he was tagged.
Sure did. Now, the problem here is that the call on the field was out, so they need 100% conclusive evidence that his hand did touch the plate before the tag. Depends what they see in New York.
The replay review is powered by Samsung. Verlander and McCann obviously very anxious to get the outcome of this replay review. Kevin Pillar, Joe, you called it. He got a good break on the bunt.
He almost sensed this, and when Ezekiel Carrera's at the plate, there's not a sign for this. Ezekiel does this on his own, but Kevin read that. The one thing Ezekiel did is he may have bunted that ball a little bit too hard, but you have to give credit to Verlander for popping off the mound, giving a nice toss here to McCann. What a great slide by Kevin Pillar trying to avoid that tag. He's diving to the back corner of the plate.
I tell you what, Andy Fletcher, the home plate umpire, couldn't have been in a better position to make the call. He kept moving to make sure he wasn't going to get blocked out. Kevin Pillar feeling the effects of that headfirst slide.
Verlander's going to do the wise thing and throw some warm-up pitches during this delay. There's the call right there. Now, is the glove touching Pillar's arm right there? I don't think it is. I think the tag came there after the hand is on the plate. But if you were to watch this once, you would probably say safe. But it's so important with these rules that the call on the field means so much, and it's all going to be whether New York sees conclusive evidence that his hand was in there before the tag.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the interpretation of this call, the call on the field is that Pillar was tagged out. So now in order for the umpiring crew in New York to overturn it, they have to be 100% certain that that was the wrong call.
I think Kevin Pillar is safe, but I'm having my doubts that New York is going to say that they have conclusive evidence. That right there, to me, the hand is on the plate before the tag.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like there. Kevin Pillar consents the tag. It looks like the umpires have their decision. Yeah, it was a tough one to overturn. There wasn't a clear-cut indication that he had missed the call. So that is done. Pillar is out on the fielder's choice. Brad Ausmus is out of the Tigers dugout, and he's going to make a pitching change. He has called to the bullpen. Shane Green, the right-hander, will come in. Donaldson has reached base 3 times against Verlander, and Ausmus said, you know what? I don't want him to face you a 4th time, so Verlander is out of the ball game. Shane Green will come in to face Josh Donaldson with 2 outs and runners at the corners.
Continues. He's at part of that final man vote to get Saunders in. You can go hashtag Vote Captain Canada or vote at bluejays.com/vote or text 84-10-10-10. Guys,
thank you very much, Arash. Justin Verlander is out of the ball game. He goes 5 2/3. He looks to the bullpen. First out, Shane Green, the big righty.
Shane Green working in his 21st ball game. The ERA at 4.75. Opponent's just hitting .215 against him. He pitched a scoreless inning last night in Cleveland.
Donaldson goes after the first pitch. Donaldson walked, doubled, and reached on an error against Verlander. So Brad Ausmus saying, you know what, I want to get him a different look. He brings in Green. Donaldson reaches out and pokes it foul.
Shane Green's a big cutter guy. The fastball will average 93 miles per hour. He's got the curveball, slider, and changeup, but the cutter is a pitch he'll use almost half the time, and that was it right there. Just running away from Josh Donaldson. You know Verlander would love to face Donaldson one more time, but probably a wise decision by Brad Ausmus.
0-2. Covers that hard breaking ball away and stays alive. Green has inherited 5 base runners coming into this game and has not allowed any of those 5 to score. He's inherited 2 from Verlander in this inning. Pretty good fastball from Green. 97 down and in.
And I think Green wanted that. Again, they had a little miscommunication with the signs, but finally gets what he wants. After the cutter's away, the slider's away, got to at least show inside to Josh. Now you do that. Normally when you do that, you want to elevate that, make him move his feet a little bit, and then go back away.
Donaldson stays on that pitch, checks his bat to make sure he didn't break his bat.
One thing we've seen Josh do an awful lot since he's gotten really hot is he'll take that base hit the other way. This is very interesting now because the strength of the pitcher is the cutter away. Shane Green loves that pitch. With the runner on first base, Miguel Cabrera holding him on. There's a big hole over there. Does Josh just look out there and try to cash in a base hit to right field to tie this ball game?
Hit him on the hand with a fastball as Green was trying to come inside and may have hit him on the right elbow. So Donaldson again tonight has been on base 4 times. He's been on base with regularity.
And I think that's exactly what Josh is doing. The scouting report is out. These guys know what pitcher's strengths are and how they're going to attack. He's leaning over. He's thinking cutter away. He's thinking he's going back out there. So you initiate your swing, and then by the time you're trying to hold up, that back elbow is exposed to the baseball. That one stung a bit.
Bases are loaded. Edwin Encarnacion. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Taking all the way.
He's going to get some cutters from Shane Green. It's just a matter of how well he executes the pitches. Edwin's going to have to lay off it if it's running off the plate away. If he leaves something on the plate, that's where Edwin can do some damage.
Perfect spot, down and away. Edwin acknowledging that was a good pitch. Turned to Andy Fletcher and said, "Was that a strike?" And he goes, "Yep."
Not much you can do with that pitch.
It was a good one. 0-2, bases loaded for Encarnacion. Goes out and hits this one in the air down the right side, and that's going to be into the seats. Well, Green's got that hard breaking ball. He keeps it in a good spot down and away from these powerful right-handed bats.
And the way we saw him pitch to Donaldson lets you know too that he will come in with the fastball. That's what makes it tough on a hitter. For the pitcher that's just going to go cutter away and not really show you inside, hitters can start leaning out over the plate. But Josh knows, and the whole Blue Jays dugout now knows, that they've got to be conscious of the fastball in as well.
Shane Green has a big arm. We saw 97 in the at-bat to Donaldson. Green's now 27 years old. He began his career with the Yankees. He was traded to Detroit in December of 2014, part of a 3-team trade that included the Yankees, the Diamondbacks, and the Tigers. Encarnacion strikes out. Shane Green has stranded all 7 inherited base runners he's been dealt with this year. The Tigers still have the lead.
Bacardi goes Friday, July 22nd. The pregame performance by Jess Moskaluk, and the patio opens at 4:30. The Mariners and the Blue Jays is the matchup on July 22nd. You can click on BlueJays.com for tickets. Buck.
Thank you very much. The Friday Fan Festival is always very popular. And that youngster is having a good time at this ball game, and it's a heck of a ball game. 3-2 Tigers. The hits are even at 6 apiece, and Brett Cecil makes his 20th appearance of the season.
Brett Cecil got off to a rough start this year, but spent some time on the disabled list. He's come off and helped out and looks much better. He pitched on Monday in the Blue Jays 6-2 win against the Royals. Pitched an inning, gave up a solo homer opposite field to Eric Hosmer. But Cecil's looked much better since coming back from the disabled list.
It'll be his 4th appearance since his return. Delivers a first pitch strike to McCann. James McCann had an RBI single in the 4th. He drove in the go-ahead run. He was thrown out trying to advance to second by Carrera, the right fielder. Joe, what is different in your mind with Cecil since his return from the disabled list?
I asked Brett if his struggles in coming back is a mechanical thing or is he just stronger now, and he had an interesting comment. He thought that he had a little mechanical glitch.
That ball is drilled to center field. It's going to get past Pilar all the way up against the wall in center. McCann will stop at second with his second base hit of the night. A leadoff double here in the 7th.
What will happen with pitchers sometimes is they try to create too much instead of thinking fastball all the way, and then when they get to that end of their release point, that's when you try to impart spin on the baseball to try to make it curve. Now we've seen Brett, he's got an outstanding curveball. That one just rolled in there a little bit. McCann got a pretty good piece of it. But what Brett's trying to do is simplify those things, not try to create too much at the initial part of his delivery, thinking more quick late and trying to impart that spin and get it down. But those are things that can happen to anyone. You get into those funks as a pitcher with your delivery. You want to do your damage out front is their line of thinking.
That's just the 3rd double of the season for McCann. Iglesias, the Blue Jays are anticipating a bunt. No bunt shown here as he takes the strike. He checked, and it's a ball and a strike. Blue Jays need Brett Cecil to pitch like he did last year before the injury in the postseason. He can handle righties, he can handle lefties. He's got all the weapons he needs to pitch effectively in late inning situations. That's a base hit to right. McCann held up to make sure it was down safely. He advances to 3rd. So Cecil comes in and gives up a double and a single.
Well, that's what you have to do as a base runner. You've got to make sure that that ball is true. Now, if he knows exactly where the fielders are playing, he could probably take off on that, but it's a bit of a gamble, making sure that it goes in. It's hit so hard, McCann knows that he's only going to advance the 90 feet, and he played it the safe way.
Omar Vizquel, first base coach, giving Iglesias some instruction. Now Russell Martin passing along information to the infielders as to what they would do if Iglesias breaks for second. Nobody out, top of the order, Ian Kinsler. Cecil has had the upper hand in this matchup. Kinsler just 1 for 12 against Brett Cecil. Kinsler had an infield single in the 3rd. Ground ball. Tulowitzki will go to second for 1. Good turn by Barney. They get the double play, but a run comes in on the double play. As McCann comes in from 3rd, Tulowitzki made a terrific feed to Barney at second.
Well, the ball was not hit real hard. James McCann, watch this ball coming off the bat. He looks at it for a split second, takes off, Tulo decides to turn to. Even if you go home and get him there, you've got a couple of runners on. You're challenging the defense to make the play. Just was not hit hard enough. That was really only Tulo's only play. A nice job by Barney to get both outs.
Double play, 2 outs, a run in. Nobody on now. It's 4-2 Detroit. Center fielder Cameron Maybin.
It's a well-located fastball right there. Brett will go two-seam down and away to righties like that. His big thing is keeping that balance over the pitching rubber. Some pitchers will have their weight go a little bit, drift a little bit forward as their arm goes back. They get a little bit long, and then you can't catch up to get to that desired release point.
Pretty good pitch. Martin thought it was strike 3. Cecil didn't get the call. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The toughest pitch for a catcher to handle is glove side right there down in the zone, and that pitch handcuffed Russell. See where he wants it? He wants it to that side of the plate. If he was able to keep that thumb down and receive that, he may have gotten the call.
Cecil picks it up with the curveball. Cecil strikes out Maybin. The Tigers had a run. Detroit up 4-2. Now it'll be Michael Saunders leading things off, followed by Russell Martin and Troy Tulowitzki.
Games for you tomorrow after the Blue Jays and the Tigers. An NL West showdown in LA. Will Myers and the Padres face Corey Seager and the Dodgers. That's tomorrow at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Now.
Lots of great baseball action as teams are wrapping up their first half of the schedule. A reminder with Michael Saunders leading off, just under 19 hours left to vote him to the All-Star game. So make sure you don't miss out with a chance to send one of Canada's own to the All-Star game in San Diego. Michael Saunders drove in the first run of the ball game with a single to center in the first. One of 2 runs the Blue Jays scored in the first inning. They haven't scored since.
You know what they say about the best pitchers, Justin Verlander, they got to him a little bit, but they were just able to dent him a little bit, bruise him. They weren't able to get right after him, and he has been excellent since handing the ball over now to Shane Green.
90 miles an hour with late movement on that cutter. Tough pitch for a lefty. Blue Jays have left 10 men on base. Tonight they are 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Justin Verlander was very good, and that's the most I've seen him use the changeup. There's Justin Wilson, a hard-throwing left-hander. Down the right side, that's a fair ball. Bounces out of play for a ground rule double. Michael Saunders with his 25th double of the season. He was able to keep that pitch fair down the right field line.
Good swing by Michael Saunders. He went through a little bit of a rough patch earlier where teams started pounding him in. They were throwing him more off speed. Watch this pitch come inside, but he just pulls the hands in. If your hands get away from you and you come around that baseball, that's going to hook down the right field line and go foul. But he keeps his hands in tight, works inside the baseball, and then it stays somewhat true. Still got a little hook to it, but hits that ball hard into the right field corner.
Another base runner for the Blue Jays. Michael Saunders is now 4th in the American League with 25 doubles. David Ortiz leads the pack. He's got 34 doubles this season in his final big league season. Manny Machado with 29. Travis Shaw of the Red Sox with 26. Now Saunders is 4th. Shane Green inherited a pair of base runners. He hit Josh Donaldson to load the bases and then struck out Encarnacion.
This Tigers bullpen has certainly had its issues this season, but they have been much improved. Shane Green has been a part of that. His last 5 outings, couple of runs, 5 innings. He hadn't walked a batter, struck out 4, but settling into this role right in here, the 6th, 7th inning before they hand it off.
Russell pulls it on the ground. Castellanos across the diamond in time. Saunders has to hold at second. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. The pitchers have had the upper hand in this ball game. It's a 4-2 game. Tigers lead it. 6 runs on 15 hits. The Tigers have 8 hits. The Blue Jays 7. Shane Green in relief of Justin Verlander, who went 5 1/3. Verlander went 5 2/3. My mistake. Tulowitzki, a base hit into center. Saunders is being waved around third. He'll come in to score, and it's a 1-run game. Saunders scores for the 2nd time tonight. Tulowitzki picks up his 41st RBI.
Hard hit ball by Tulo. Michael Saunders has to freeze here for a minute just in case Iglesias makes a jumping catch. Once it gets over his head, he is around third. Luis Rivera is waving him home, and Troy Tulowitzki with another big knock for the Blue Jays.
Well, with that hit, Tulowitzki has knocked Shane Green out of the ball game. Brad Ausmus has made the call to the bullpen. Left-hander Justin Wilson will come in. That'll turn the switch hitter around. Justin Smoak, a switch hitter. 0 for 3 so far. The Blue Jays have the tying run on base in a 4-3 game. When we come back, Justin Smoak will face
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. The checkered flag event is back, celebrating over 50 years of racing heritage in every Honda.
Well, night has fallen on Toronto, and the Blue Jays have made it a one-run game, and with that RBI single, Tulowitzki has knocked the right-hander out. Justin Wilson, the lefty, will come into the game for the 36th time.
39 strikeouts in just 31 innings. Hard-throwing left-hander. He'll average up over 95 miles per hour.
Smoak goes after the first pitch and hits it right off the end of the bat.
Pitched a scoreless inning at Tampa. That was on Saturday, and he can get some ground balls, and he'll be looking for one right here off the bat of Justin Smoak. Curveball and cutter as well to go at that high-powered fastball.
Check in on Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki with the RBI single now has driven in 41 runs for the Blue Jays. Oh, and 2. Wilson began his career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He spent 3 seasons with Pittsburgh. Worked out of their bullpen. He has never made a major league start. He's always been a reliever. He spent 2015 with the Yankees and went 5-0 for New York in 74 games last year. The appeal down to first, and Joe West said that Smoak went around. Certainly didn't look like he had a swing at it, but Joe West calls him for the swing on the appeal to the first base umpire.
Well, I always like that the home plate umpire appeals down the run. The umpire on first has a much better look. That's the elevated fastball, but I do not think Justin Smoak, he couldn't believe it. His head was down when Joe West rung him up. Look at Justin right there. He couldn't believe it.
Certainly looked like he checked his swing in plenty of time. There are 2 down now for Kevin Pillar. Pillar singled to center off Verlander his last time up. Two outs. It's a 4-3 ball game. Tigers have the lead. Ball and a strike. Justin Verlander, the starter for the Tigers, went 5 2/3. He did not allow a home run. Blue Jays have an home run now. So the Tigers now have had a streak of 9 straight games in which their starters have not allowed a home run. That's the longest streak of the season. Marlins and Nationals also have 9-game streaks by their starters without allowing a home run.
Well, they squared a few baseballs up against Verlander tonight, but for the most part, he did a very nice job keeping Blue Jays hitters off balance. And how many times did we talk about that changeup? What a weapon for Verlander tonight. Not too many people that have more fun playing this game than Miguel Cabrera.
And he likes to talk about the game as well. 1-2 to Pillar. Base hit up the middle. Tulowitzki will stay put at second as Kevin Pillar has a 2-hit ball game.
Another one of those cases where the catcher wants the ball elevated. Look at the target. James McCann, he's even up out of his crouch, but then he has to come back down to catch the baseball. Turns into a fastball right down the middle out over the plate. You elevate that ball, maybe you get Pillar to chase, and they know Kevin's tendencies. Trying to get him to expand the zone there with 2 strikes, but he did not execute his pitch.
Well, in the open, we talked about the Blue Jays, how their offense has gotten contributions from everybody up and down the lineup, and this is one of the guys that's come up with big hits lately. Darwin Barney has a single and a ground rule double in 3 at-bats tonight. Looking for his 3rd hit. He's had 2 3-hit games this season.
Darwin is such a major league hitter. I asked him about that base hit Monday night. He had a 2-run single in the 7th off Luke Hochevar to put the Blue Jays up 4-1. And I asked him if he was looking for the curveball that he was sitting on 0-1. He said no, he throws so many cutters. I was just looking out over the plate, and he reacted to the curveball. But that's having an approach at the plate.
He gets jammed and hits a 1-hopper to second. That ends the inning. The Blue Jays strand 2 more. They have left 12 men on base and trail 4-3 as we head to the 8th.
vote. Those in Western Canada, you know Michael Saunders is from British Columbia. You can vote him to the All-Star game. Hashtag Vote Captain Canada, or you can go online and vote at bluejays.com/vote or text A4 10 10 10. Buck.
Thank you very much, Arash. We want to make sure you all remind yourselves to make that vote. Captain Canada, you need to send him to the All-Star game. He's had a terrific season, having another good game tonight. He's 2 for 3 tonight. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is the veteran Jason Grilli, former Tiger, pitching against Detroit tonight.
Jason's held opponents to a .214 batting average. He has 21 strikeouts in just 11 2/3 innings of work. Worked a scoreless inning on Saturday in the Blue Jays' 9-6 win over Cleveland, striking out a pair.
Grilli spent 4 seasons with the Tigers. 2005 into 2008. Appeared in 120 games wearing the Tiger uniform. Miguel Cabrera lays off that breaking ball. Elevates that fastball and falls behind 2-1. Grilli's been a nice addition to this Blue Jays ball club. He has assumed the role of the 8th inning pitcher. Right now he's trying to keep it a 1-run game. Breaking ball is hit in the air to right. Carrera has called for it. Cabrera is retired, 1 out. Justin Smoak was called out on the check swing, so he goes down with Joe West, the first base umpire, and they may have had a conversation or two about that. He said, "Are you sure I swung at that?" Yeah.
2 big country boys right there. They're going to agree to disagree, I think.
Line to Donaldson. What a play. Josh has had a good night in the field and a good night at the plate once again. Man, he is an all-star MVP player. He can do a lot of things to help you win games.
Well, the shift is on against Victor Martinez. 3 Blue Jays infielders to the right side. The lone holdover is Donaldson. He's basically where Tulo would be playing anyway. It's a good read off the bat. Ball hit pretty hard by Victor Martinez.
Donaldson is 1 for 2 at the plate. He has scored a run. He made a couple of fine defensive plays. Nick Castellanos in a game-tying home run in the 4th. I made it 2-2. McCann would give the Tigers a lead in the 4th with an RBI single. Three and 0.
Grilli's fastball will be around 92 miles per hour. Slider and changeup. He'll throw a 2 and 4 seamer, but he's got that veteran experience you talked about for this Blue Jays bullpen, and it's really come in handy.
Up and in. He wants Castellanos. A 2-out walk.
Not a whole lot of veteran leadership down in that Blue Jays bullpen, and I think this was part of the acquisition for Jason Grilli as much as anything, bringing that veteran leadership. Of course, Drew Storen, but he's had his struggles this season, so Jason's been able to take Roberto Osuna under his wing, talk to him about different situations. Of course, he's been a closer. He knows what Roberto's going through, so it's a nice piece, and he's pitched very well in a Blue Jays uniform.
Justin Upton, home run and a double tonight. When Jason Grilli came to the Blue Jays, he made a phone call to LaTroy Hawkins, who was in the same role last year. He said, tell me what I need to know about this bullpen. And he has had the same kind of impact on the bullpen. Jason's father, Steve Grilli, is here in the ballpark tonight, and Steve pitched for the Tigers and pitched one game for the Blue Jays. And he has had a big impact in Jason's career. Steve and his wife Kathy live in Syracuse, and they were a big part of the Blue Jays AAA when the Jays were in Syracuse with their AAA ball club.
Steve said he's doing some broadcasting in Syracuse still, just keeping his foot in the game, which is always nice to see from a former player.
Fastball, boy, he can spot that fastball upstairs. It really complements that hard breaking ball.
Jason's big message to somebody like Osuna, some of these younger pitchers, is to be creative out there. We all have routines throughout the course of the day, but when you get out there, it's about finding a way to get that hitter out, and you have to change up your pattern. You don't want to be predictable. That's what he continues to do each and every time out. That's, I guess, how you pitch for so long at this level.
2-2 pitch, got it. Jason Grilli comes out of the bullpen, gives up a 2-out walk, but strikes out Justin Upton. He's kept it a 1-run game as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Now time for Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn from the Samsung broadcast studio.
New way to live stream sports without cable TV. Visit sportsnet.ca/now to start your free trial today and watch so many of these Blue Jays and other sporting events.
Thank you very much, Arash, and a good crowd on hand again tonight here at Rogers Center, having a lot of fun. They'd have a lot more fun if the Blue Jays could score a run or two. They trail by 1. Tigers have a 4-3 lead. Top of the order for the Jays. Carrera goes out for the first pitch and literally knocks Wilson off the mound. That's the way you start the 8th. A hot shot right over the mound and knocked the lefty down.
Ezekiel's not taking any pitches, trying to work his way on. He's looking for a first pitch fastball, and he got one up and out over the plate from Justin Wilson. Put a good swing on it, and this is what Ezekiel has done so well. He's had good at-bats, and what's a good at-bat? Get a good pitch to hit and put a good swing on it. Good job by the leadoff hitter.
His first hit of the night as Wilson falls down off the mound, and here come the big boys. Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Smoke to follow. Donaldson's had an all-around good game, running the bases well. He walked and scored in the first, doubled in the third, reached on an error in the fifth, and hit by a pitch in the sixth. He's been on base 4 times.
Josh takes a lot of pride in being an all-around player, not just an offensive weapon at the plate.
Alex Wilson, the right-hander, loosening up. The Blue Jays have had opportunities all night long. They have racked up 10 hits. They have stranded 12 base runners.
Catcher James McCann will peek into the dugout. He's getting signs from his coaches. That's just to control the running game. Brad Ausmus, he'll want maybe a slide step or a throw over if they should perhaps want to pitch out.
Base hit to right field. Carrera's making the turn. Here's the throw from right. It is cut off. First and third, nobody out. 5 times Donaldson has been on base.
Josh Donaldson knows that there's a time and place for everything. He hits plenty of home runs, but he knows what his team needs right now. Look at the hole on the right side of the infield with Cabrera holding Ezekiel Carrera on. Big hole. He just tries to let that ball travel, stays inside it, shoots it through the wide open side of the infield. Smart, smart baseball player.
Donaldson was 3 for 4 with 2 homers and scored 4 runs on Tuesday in that win over Kansas City. He's had quite a run here lately. So has this man, Edwin Encarnacion, trying to extend his hit streak to 6. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Inside. This is the first time Encarnacion has hit against Wilson. You don't bring an awful lot of lefties in to face Edwin Encarnacion, but he's in the game and they stick with him. They got Saunders on deck, a left-handed bat.
McCann did not like the reaction of Wilson after that pitch. He missed his spot. Looked a little upset with himself, so the youngster goes out and tries to settle him down.
Edwin reaches for that outside pitch.
He's asking home plate umpire Andy Fletcher right now. He got that ball off the plate and he nodded in agreement. You're getting that 2-0 count. It's a good hitter's count, but you still want to be disciplined enough. And Edwin Noe expanded just a bit too much there.
Good take. 3-1 now. The Blue Jays lineup is working very effectively lately. Carrera started it with a sharp single to center. Donaldson base hit to right. Nobody out. Strikes out. 96. So that's why they stayed with Wilson to pitch to Encarnacion.
Just a good fastball by Wilson inside, and he just really threw Edwin for a loop right there. I think Edwin may have had that cutter on his mind, but he didn't get it that time, and at 96, that's just too much to handle. Caught in between.
Now the Tigers have the matchup that they want, lefty on lefty. Ground ball. Cabrera's going to come home, and Carrera's in a rundown, and McCann tags him out. So now there are 2 outs. Donaldson's at second, Saunders at first.
Well, Miguel Cabrera did the right thing. Watch Ezekiel Carrera coming off third base. He didn't get a great jump. It may have been a contact play, but it's hit just too easily. Now you get Ezekiel. The Blue Jays still have runners on first and second now with 2 down. If he stays, they've got runners on second and third. They get the out at first base still with 2 down. Not a huge difference. Just one of those unfortunate plays. And as a runner, you just get hung up.
Well, Van Osmus out to just check with Wilson, see how he feels about this at bat. Russell Martin at the plate, and he got the answer he was hoping for. As Wilson stays in the ballgame to face the right-handed hitting Russell Martin.
The reason you put that contact play on with 1 out is you're hoping a ground ball is hit somewhere where maybe somebody's got to go further to their backhand. Maybe it's a chopper. Maybe then you put pressure on the defense, and the infielder makes an error, comes up and makes a wild throw. It's just one of those where Carrera's caught in between, but now it's up to Russell Martin to try to come through in a big way here late.
Martin had an RBI double in his first at bat. Only hit of the night. He's 1 for 4. Russell didn't like that call. Thought that pitch was up. Ball bounced out of the glove of McCann, but not far enough for the runners to advance.
It's that tough spot again for a catcher. It's that glove side, and with Wilson being around 95, 96, you get handcuffed because if you turn your glove all the way over, it's going to be a ball and you just take it out of the zone. If you try to keep it with your thumb pointing down, you try to hold it there, it's very difficult because it's got that late movement. Toughest pitch for a catcher to handle.
Good take by Martin. It's now 2 balls and a strike. The Blue Jays are 2 for 15 tonight with runners in scoring position. They have stranded 12. They have 2 more on base here. 3-1. Troy Tulowitzki is on deck behind Martin. Tulowitzki had an RBI single his last time up. Ball 4, that'll load the bases. So Brent Ausmus gave Justin Wilson the opportunity to pitch to Russell Martin, and he walks Martin. That loads the bases. So the Blue Jays have the bases loaded. The tying runs at third. The go-ahead runs at second. So Justin Wilson will leave the ball game with the bases loaded in 2 outs. He'll turn it over to the right-hander Alex Wilson. Troy Tulowitzki's been swinging a hot bat of late. He had an RBI in his last at bat. He'll face Alex Wilson when we come back. Right-hander Alex Wilson began the season on the disabled list. He was activated on the 16th of April, and he's got a tough situation he's inherited. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Troy Tulowitzki at the plate. Blue Jays are down 4-3. Base hit to right. Donaldson's in. Here comes Saunders, the
Clancy. Another big hit for Troy Tulowitzki. One thing he has done so well compared to earlier in the season is handling the ball away. Troy that time staying on the baseball, not flying open with that front side. We saw a lot of that early in the season, a lot of working underneath the baseball. He stayed on it and shot it into right field to give the Blue Jays a big one-run lead.
Justin Smoak turns it around and bats left-handed for the 4th time tonight. Takes a pitch upstairs. Smoak called out on a check swing in the 7th against the lefty Justin Wilson. Russell Martin went first to 3rd, did a good job getting over to 3rd. Now Smoak fouls it off. Tulowitzki with a 3 RBI night. He now has driven in 43 runs. Roberto Osuna is ready in the Blue Jays bullpen. Jason Grilli is the Blue Jays pitcher of record. Martin at 3rd, Tulowitzki at 1st. 5-4 Blue Jays. Joe, the Blue Jays are playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Playing a lot of confidence. We're starting to see what we saw last year in this Blue Jays offense. And how many times did we use the term pass the baton? And that seems to be what we're seeing a lot more of. Didn't see that earlier in the season. It looked like a lot of big swings, a lot of pulling off balls. Now they're really starting to use the whole field.
High fly ball to left. Justin Upton moving toward the line, gets there and the inning is over. But what an inning it was. Troy Tulowitzki, a big night, 3 RBIs. He drives into tying and go-ahead run. Tulowitzki stays on this pitch away and drives it into right. That drives home 2, and the Blue Jays have a 5-4 lead as we head to the 9th. Game is brought to you by the all-new Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Well, Troy Tulowitzki has been so much better since returning from the disabled list, handling the ball away. This ball was elevated, a fastball up and away. Does not pull off the baseball, drills it into right field, cashes in 2 big runs to give the Blue Jays a 5-4 lead. And now they hand the ball to Roberto Osuna.
Tulowitzki, a 3 RBI night. And this will be a pinch hitter, Michael Vilas, facing Roberto Osuna. Osuna appearing in his 39th game. He is 17 for 19 in the saves. Right-handers have hit just 178 against Osuna. 1-1 count.
Roberto pitched a scoreless inning last night, securing that 17th save in the Blue Jays 4-2 win over the Royals.
Aviles entered the game defensively in right field. So he is batting in the number 7 spot. He took over for Stephen Moya. 2-2. You mentioned the Grilli impact on this bullpen, and he's had an impact on Osuna, talking about mixing up the rhythm of his pitching.
A little bit right there, and pitchers always talk about trying to offset the timing of hitters, and Roberto did that right there, as long as it's not going to affect the quality of your pitch. Roberto will come up and just hesitate on occasion. Try to alter the timing of the hitter as he's trying to time the delivery of the pitcher.
Ball chopped towards short. Tulowitzki unloads in a hurry just in time. Blue Jays have played a very clean game. They've run the bases very well. They've played defense very well. And they have a 5-4 lead. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central, here's Jackie Redmond and Eric Thomas. Thank you very much, Eric. That's all coming up right after this show. Upstairs, James McCann has had a 2-hit game. RBI single in the 4th, a leadoff double in the 7th. The Blue Jays 2.5 games back of the Baltimore Orioles. It's a high fly ball hit to left. Carrera has moved to left field. He makes the catch. Carrera moved from right to left. Junior Lake is in the game in right field. 2 down. The Orioles are idle tonight, so the Blue Jays will pick up a half a game on them, and if they win this one, they'll be trailing the front-running Orioles by 2 games. A win tonight and the Blue Jays will tie the Orioles with 49 wins. Jose Iglesias takes a strike, 2-1. Joe West called smoke for a check swing earlier in the game. That one wasn't close. 3-1 now, 2 outs. Iglesias has had a 2-hit ball game. He's 2 for 3. Got to pour that fastball into him. You got a dangerous hitter on deck. strikes out Iglesias to end the inning. He comes in and retires the side in order, and the Blue Jays with a big come from behind win.
Come from behind victories are always special, especially when it's to keep the winning streak alive. Roberto Osuna closes it down, but Troy Tulowitzki comes up big again. He has been fantastic since coming off the disabled list. They flashed the leather tonight, but Troy came up with that big 2-run single in the 8th inning to put the Blue Jays up 5-4. What a night for the Blue Jays.
Tulowitzki with 43 RBIs. The Blue Jays moved to 10 games over 500. They are 2 games behind the front-running Orioles. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Jackie and Eric, take it away.